Hey girl.
And welcome back to
How Did I Get Here?
That's Taylor.
And that's Abby.
And I want to quit my job, but I don't know if I really want to do it or not. We're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about it.
Let's talk about it, girl. My answer is short and to the point. So we can start with me if we want to.
Yeah, go ahead.
Because am I ready to quit my job and start my dream life? Yes, I am. Every day that I wake up, I really question, like, how did I get here? Do I really, like, it's hard for me to believe sometimes that I work. And I know it just sounds like a simple sentence. No, I wake up out of my sleep and, like, I cannot believe that I wake up and go to work. It seems unbelievable. Like, it feels like a dream for real. For real, for real. And that's me. So the day that I have, like, an inkling, like a little, any possibility that I get that there could be any type of success, that's why y'all gotta blow this video up. Y'all click, 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 like
We're gonna
subscribe.
put a GoFundMe in. I'm just kidding. We would not do that.
In the link below. No, I'm just kidding.
We would not do that.
We wouldn't. But yeah, I just feel like if I'm not meant to, like, I just know I'm either meant to be an entrepreneur or doing something outside of a 9-to-5. That's what I can say. I don't know what I'm supposed to do, but it's not, I just don't feel like a 9-to-5 type of person.
Okay,
I
so
can say that.
with context too, I feel like we both, if you watch one of our old videos, specifically the Homemaker University one, I don't know if that was the title, but I know it was in the thumbnail.
Right.
We basically talked about how deep in our hearts and souls, we feel like we would prefer to just be homemakers. Like, that's just where we get our joy. We don't really care about the climbing up the corporate ladder. And as a matter of fact, you should give your example today of, like, how someone at your job where you just started a month ago will be going on maternity leave, and this person,
goodness, I hope they don't find me anytime soon. But basically, at my new job, when I work, I'm trying to do the best that I can so that I don't get fired, even though I don't know if I really care.
And just because you hold yourself to that standard regardless. Like,
Yeah.
there's a certain standard in which you don't slack off. Like, you do your best, but other people don't necessarily do that standard.
And I think because I try my hardest to be the best that I can, my bun a little tilted, but that's okay. Because I try my hardest, I feel like people notice that, and they think there's a difference to me between being a good employee and being a good leader. And I think I have the ability to be a leader, but I don't want that. And a lot of people confuse the two. They see a good employee and think that person is supposed to lead a group.
Because she is a good leader if she wanted to be, but she doesn't want to be.
However, I've been there, done that. As you all probably heard in previous videos, that was like my whole summer, like beginning of this channel. A lot of our discussions started with us, or me and both of us, honestly talking about how we feel about work and things like that. So I just know, because I've tried that, that's what I went to school for, that's what I majored in. I did like management and leadership. It's not what I'm supposed to do. And I recently, after being at this job for like a month and a half, I was asked if I want to move into like a, what do they call it? Team leader or shift supervisor, something. I don't even know what it's called, but basically they want me to lead the team when, the person who is currently in that position goes on maternity leave. And because I'm so bad with, like, not conflict, but I'm bad with answering questions in the moment, especially when it's something I didn't expect. So I was kind of like nodding and smiling, like, yeah, of course I want to do that. Like, yeah, for sure, that seems like something I would think about. When in reality, when I went home and thought about it,
screaming,
there's no way. And I never hated my job, but I don't feel horrible going to work anymore. And yet and still, I just want to, like, preface it with that, like, I don't feel horrible. I enjoy I'm content with being there, but also I do not want to be in a leadership position anymore. And I think that's part of the reason why I'm content with being there, is because I'm working on my own skills, and these are things that I can use outside of this job, like being detail oriented and things like that. It's skills that I can work on and not, like, teach a million people not that it's bad to do that, but I just don't want to teach right now. And just knowing the different personalities and jobs, like, I want to go to work and be as comfortable as possible. If I have to be there, like, I don't want to be stressed.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'm creating my own little mini soft life however I can, and I just cannot do that and also be in management or in leadership or a supervisor, as they call it. So that's what I'm realizing.
That's what I was saying. It's like, I think people automatically assume that just because like you're a good employee, you want to be a leader. But I think for me, we've decided we just want to be homemakers. We've always known this, but we don't, because we don't want to climb the corporate ladder. It's almost like a little bit of shame to it in a way. And it's definitely going against the grain, swimming against the current, whatever you want to call it. But either way, for myself, I kind of came to realize that if I had the for myself, I don't mind going to work, only because my current situation is okay, which is what I've prefaced to before. However, I think that if anything, listen, when stuff gets, I think you would agree. I think right now you're content because it's not terrible.
Right.
But if stuff got terrible,
goodness,
it may be a little bit more of a kick to like not be there anymore. But because we're in places that are okay, we're not like jumping to leave. However, I think what I came to realize is that I've been praying so long about the freedom that I would want, but I didn't realize that how much I actually have grown to rely on the stability of having a job, and how much you do give up when you decide to like be a homemaker or be a stay-at-home mom. And I didn't really think about it that way. I don't know. I guess what kind of got me thinking about it was, since I'm a school nurse and then I was off over the summer, and then I kind of saw how our finances have been without me working versus how they are with me working. And having financial freedom is always great, but then it just never makes up for the time that you lose with your family, especially like I'm a mom, I'm married. It just doesn't make up for that. And so it's just kind of sad to me. And to me, I just could never waste any more time at a job, and like climbing a corporate ladder means nothing to me if like I'm wasting time not being with my family. Like every time 3 o'clock hits, like I'm ready to come home. Like I didn't even tell you this one guy at my job, for example, he was having a birthday party and he invited me to it, and I was like, so on a Saturday you want me to come to a bar and like drink for your birthday? I was like, so are babies allowed at this bar? Because I only get the weekend. I feel like I'm only getting the weekends with my baby as it is, and I'm not giving up any time with my, even after work, like because I actually asked him that, and he said, let me get back to you. He never got back to me, okay? Because it seemed like he was renting the place out or something. So I was like, I'll slide through for like 30 minutes to an hour, but my baby got to be invited too, because like I'm not giving up time with her. Or like my coworkers try to go out after work, and I'm just like, okay, but I haven't even seen my child yet today, so I'm not.
Is it co-workers with children, or like
no?
Do they not? Oh, none of them have children. Nope. Wow.
None. Not one. And they're all, one is one I told you about, the one you were like, she'd be asking a lot of questions. Yeah. She just got engaged. And then another one, she's actually been married and she just doesn't have kids yet. Like she just bought a house. I don't know if she wants to have kids or not, but like she's
around your age?
Yeah, she's like in one. Yeah, the one is like a year younger than me. So like I'm 29. One is like 28. One is like 34. And her husband's like 40. So like, but they just bought a house. And there's another girl that's also married, trying to have a baby. She's like 34, 35. So everybody's relatively like of baby having age, and like no one has kids. Or the people I work with that do have kids, their kids are like in middle school already, so it don't make a difference to them. But yeah, no one has
like
younger kids like me, so I'm like, yeah, no. But they don't ever pressure me. Like they get it. They're like, no, I get it. They always still invite me, but they're like, I'm sure Abigail's gonna say no, and you would be right, because I already barely want to be here as it is, and traffic is terrible coming home. We live in Chicago, so traffic be terrible.
Oh my goodness!
And
it's like an hour to get home.
Yeah, it's just to get home as it is, and that's another hour wasted that I didn't spend with my child.
Yeah.
So I'm not doing that. But it's just either way, it's a strange, like, I don't know if the word is dichotomy, but just like this incongruence of like, I want the financial stability, but at the same time, and it's not even the financial stability for now, but like I was saying, at the same time, I want to spend time with my kid. But it's also the life stability. Because like I said, the older you get, like I'm married, but I don't know what will happen eventually, like with my husband's job. Like what if something happens with his job? Like what if like he passes away? Like people who are widow all the time, and like what if stuff like that happens? Or like what if we do start to struggle financially and all we have is his income? And like I don't, like when you can rely on two incomes, it's just so much more known. But I just like the Holy Spirit telling me, like, girl, I'm gonna need you to depend on me.
It'll be so you can easily get a job again. That's all.
That's the thing too, and I've been told myself that as well, because where I work at, I would always be welcome back.
Exactly,
you know?
And you can't feed into what other people are saying too. I feel like over the summer when I was like going through everything I was going through and not working, there were so many videos of people saying like, oh, the job market is like so hard, you can't find a job, you can't do this and that. I found a job, like both of my jobs, honestly, like within a month or so, probably even less time. So
I think it's people saying like the differences,
good, like
the high paying, high quality career. That's what people don't.
But to pay for like the things you need, I guess also because I'm like a single woman too, so it's different. Like the amount of money I need to pay for like your basic needs, you can find a job.
But yeah, people always want like
I know what you mean.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, that makes sense, I guess. Well, to get by, like if you're in a situation where you already have a partner and somebody just help you out, and then they go through a time of need where they need you to just help out for a little while, you can always find a job again if you stop working. It's what I feel like. So it would be easy for you to like, because you're not by yourself, so it's even, I feel like, I wouldn't say easier, but like that you would just be helping if you had to help out. So to find a job like that would be easy for you to
correct
do.
That is very true.
Right?
That is very true.
You're not alone.
It's just the like, man, it is jumping into the deep end of the unknown, and it's just so strange, because me becoming a nurse, like I didn't ever really want to be a nurse. I just kind of stumbled into it. And then even when I quit my first hospital job and I went into travel nursing, everybody was like, oh my gosh, what are you gonna do? And I don't even know at that point. I still was like, I don't know, whatever. I don't know.
Yeah, I think I went through that when I was younger. I feel like I was telling you that. Like, everybody from me going into college, they were like, oh, well, pick the right thing. And you don't want to pick the things you like because this and that is going to happen. So I kind of experienced that, like, scrutiny or people talking to me like that when I was younger. So at this point, I'm kind of over it because I already disappointed them, I guess, when I went to college. But honestly, I don't think I was a disappointment, but I just didn't care what people were telling me I should do. Honestly, I was one of those girls who thought my degree might just be decoration. But at this age, I thought my degree would be decoration in my living room. So I picked my major to do something that I just enjoyed doing. And I had, thank you to my parents, I had the freedom. And I'm pretty sure you pretty much had it the same way, to where my parents didn't like stress me to do a certain thing, because honestly, I just know I'm going to be okay regardless. My parents didn't stress me about picking a certain major, and I don't know, things work out. So it turned out to be fine anyway. But yeah, I went through people like telling me, you should pick this, you don't want to be a teacher, you don't want to be this, you don't want to work in retail. And I just did what I wanted to do anyway. So I definitely experienced that point of like jumping and just choosing to do what you want to do regardless of what people say.
That is true.
Question for you, do you feel like you're taking less risks now that you're a mom? Because I feel like the last time you were telling me you jumped, and like, because what were we talking about? What was the scenario? We were saying like being stuck in a storm and how you move versus staying there. Do you feel like now that like you make more conscious or like better, I guess, decisions because you're a parent versus like just taking crazy leaps?
I think,
does Mia ground you?
My child. I think yes.
Yeah.
And it would be, yeah. I think I don't even realize it, but in a way that is kind of what it is. Because also I think it was a flip of a switch of when I got pregnant with her. My idea of my finances had completely changed at that point anyways. Like, for those, most people who watching the video, I'm sure you don't know, like background about me. So I became a nurse, and when I graduated nursing school in like the summer of 2019, started working in 2020 when the pandemic hit on a COVID unit, April of 2020. And then I worked there. And then my life at that point, I had been with, like, me and my husband, we've been together since high school. At that point, he had just kind of started his stable career, but we still were not doing right with our money. Like, we were doing what we wanted to do, not saving up to, like, buy a home. I have student loans. I wasn't caring to pay that off. Like, I didn't care about that at all. I just finally got some money and I enjoyed the freedom of it. I traveled with my friends. We did lots of trips and I paid for whatever I wanted to pay for. I just covered whatever bills my husband didn't cover, my boyfriend at the time didn't cover. I just didn't really care at the time with my finances. And it wasn't until, like, I finally decided to quit. So I did like a year and a half. October of 2021 was when I finally did quit. So I started in April of 2020. By October of the following year in 2021, I finally was like done. My friend Monica, shout out to you, she had been in my ear talking about travel nursing. She already did it. And so that was, and then I knew how much money I could make. And there was, at that point, that door was shut. Like, there was no way. I was so miserable. I could not have stayed in the hospital any longer. So, like, it was easy to jump off of that cliff. Like, it was like either you die because these lions are going to tear you apart, or you can jump off the cliff. And there might be a trampoline at the bottom of the cliff. You don't know, but, like, or you gonna die for sure. That's how I felt like when I was in the hospital. So when I quit, I knew it was my time, because a lot of my friends had been talking about it, but none of them, like, decided to actually do it. But then when I decided to do it, they were shocked, because I always said I could never imagine doing it, but I did. But either way, I quit. And then it wasn't until, even after that, I still wasn't really doing right with my money. That's a whole nother testimonial story about God meeting me in the terrible place I was. About, like, the worst place I was, probably the furthest I ever got from God, like seeing mediums and psychics and tarot cards and enneagrams and just doing all kinds of unholy things and just not being great. But God, that's where I feel like God met me when I started travel nursing. And then back to my finances, I still just never, and I'm not doing right with that either. And then I got to, like, the next year in 2022, and then it was just like a switch flipped of, like, I really want to be a mom. At that point, what were we, like 26, 27-ish? I was like, I'm married now. I got married right before I actually did travel nursing, like a few months before I left. It's like, I just was like, I want to be a mom. Like, what am I doing? Like, I'm miserable. That was when I was doing that job. That was when a travel nurse job that was like a local assignment where I could drive like an hour away and still get the travel stipend. All this stuff. And I was like driving an hour away just to call off when I got there, because I was so miserable being there and I just didn't want to do it. And I was just in this cycle of, like, what am I doing? I'm so miserable doing this job. And I think that's the problem. I haven't gotten to that point with this job yet. And this is God's, as I call it, the grass in the desert that he's given me, is this job sustaining me. Because being a bedside nurse was not it. Like, I reached the end of the ropes with that. First with being in one stable hospital job, and then with travel nursing. Like, I reached the end of my rope with that. So I was just in the cycle of, like, I want to be a mom. I'm married now. I want to buy a house. I'm sick of living in this apartment I'm living in with around the people I'm living in. But wait, you don't have any money. Like, what are you gonna do? I didn't know what I was going to do, and then I don't even know why all of a sudden. What did I do? Like, we all of a sudden decided we were gonna buy a condo, and that didn't happen. We were, like, looking, and we would have been broke as a joke if we would have did it. And then I was like, I'm going to travel and I'm going to make all this money. Like, I don't know what, at that point, it was a storm, but I was just doing so much and I couldn't make a decision. And nothing made sense. And I was like, I'm a travel nurse and make tens of thousands of dollars, and that's how I'm going to pay off my student loans and save up for a house. That wouldn't have worked out, because if you know anything about travel nursing, by 2022 and 23, that's when, like, the rates significantly dropped anyway, so you're not making that much money anyway. But long story long, in that period of time, that was when I got pregnant. Like, right when I decided, like, I didn't care about my student loans for years. I didn't care about my money for years. And so because of that, it was easy for me to jump, because I didn't, it's not only was I not a mom, but I also didn't care about money
I think
as
people
much.
find something that stabilizes them. Like, some of your friends, you said you have their mortgage, or you start a family, and there's something there that stabilizes you. It helps you make more rational
Dia was
decisions.
definitely it, but then I think it was also just me being ready for the stability. Like I didn't even have it yet, but I was like, I'm tired of all these like monkeys on my back, of being in a career I don't like, having these student loans, not having a home where I come home to and I love being where I'm at. Like I hated the apartment I was living at the time. I was like, I'm just jumping and jumping and jumping and doing all these random things. Something has to change and be stable. I'm gonna buy a condo and then I'm gonna go travel nurse and then make all this money and send home mortgage money to my husband. That's what I thought. But then that month I ended up like pregnant, and then I signed a contract to do travel nursing, and then I found out like 2 days before I was supposed to leave that I was pregnant. And so that all like, it was just a domino effect of like stabilization, I guess. And then I ended up moving back home. I'm home. This is where we're at now. I'm back home with my dad, me and my husband and my dad and my child now. We all live in a home together. And it's beautiful, and I could have never seen God doing it this way. But to answer your question, in the longest way, it was like, I think God did it. Mia was definitely a vessel, a huge part of it now. But my whole perspective, like the 2 months before I got pregnant, up and like Mia was like the door. I was already in the room of like stability, and then Mia like slammed the door shut, if that makes sense. But like the comparison she's saying is, I used to think of it like, I was in the tornado and I was constantly trying to find my way out of the tornado, and God finally just told me like, you need to sit down, like just sit and weather the storm. Like I just need you to just sit and be quiet and peace. I know it looks crazy, but just let me slow the tornado down. You can't escape it. You can't stop it. Just sit down. So then I just sat down. But then Taylor, when I sat down, she got to the point where like she had been sitting and it was time for her to make a move. So she was starting to quit jobs and jump and jump and jump. And then this is like actually the longest that I've had a nursing job, now that I think about it, because this is November. Next month in December will make 2 years that I've been at this job. And even my first hospital job as a nurse, I did a year and a half there. So, but granted, and not like saying that in a good way, because we at least get the summers and like Christmas off. So like I've had more time, and I had like maternity leave, so like I've had a lot of time off, and that's what's allowed me to have somewhat of a better, not somewhat, I will say a great work-life balance thus far. But I still don't 100% feel like I am where I'm meant to be, because I do want to have more kids, and just the idea of being bound to a job and a timeline of when you have to go back, it just makes me not feel great.
Would you say that you're an anxious person? I have all these questions for Abby today, but do you feel like an anxious person at all, ever? Because I feel like I told you, like when I wake up or when I'm heading to work, I feel it's not my worst feeling, like you were saying, like it felt like the lions are like about to attack you at first. That's how I felt in retail. Now it's not as bad, but I still wake up and feel like I'm not meant to be driving to work. Like I'm not meant to be there. Do you feel like that ever, or ever this job? So I don't even like, you all may notice I avoid the words anxiety, I avoid the words depression, I avoid all of those words. And even though I'm saying it so close, anxious person is basically saying anxiety. But I don't even like talking about it, because I feel like what you plant the seed or bring it up, it kind of brings that along. But it's just because I can admit that I do feel that way sometimes. I just wanted to ask.
I would say yes. You can say, just to be honest, the spirit of depression and the spirit of anxiety, they try to come for you, but you don't like claim it. But I know what you mean. But for me, I think that when I was working in the hospital consistently,
then you felt like that.
That would be an understatement. Like anxiety and depression would be like an understatement of how it was just pure misery.
I'm saying I feel like it was worse in retail. Now I do have days of like where I'm feeling anxious, or where I'm just like I said, in plain shock. Honestly, a shock sometimes. It sounds so crazy. I'm like, oh, I really do go to work. This is like I really cannot believe it sometimes. And that sounds so crazy to say, but yeah, so right now, because you're like content in your job, do you just not feel that way right now enough to move?
I will say, let me give a little detail on why I could say I think I feel this way. If you had Taylor's dream job would be, if she considered
my walls at home.
Okay, Taylor's second dream job would be maybe third or
cubicle
fourth, where no one really bothers her and she can just
give me all the work you need to give me.
Yes, and no one and that's kind of how I have it
yeah.
now.
Mhm.
I get to go to my office, and yeah, there's kids that come in and talk to me, and like there's people I collaborate with, but for the most part, like a majority of my day, I sat there. You're gonna see my cat probably jump up at some point, but the majority of my day, I spend it like organizing medications for kids that I have, and like I do go see kids and I give them their meds, but I do have a lot of time in my office where like I'm not being bothered because I have such a small school that I'm at, and I have one kid who's a diabetic, so that's why I get to be at that school every single day. Otherwise, I would be jumping around from school to school to school. But again, that's nothing but shy of God giving me that blessing, because the month I got off orientation is the same month this kid came back to school, because he's been sick for years and he's been in the hospital with like organ transplants and all kinds of stuff, and then he comes back. And he's not even, so far, he's a fairly healthy kid, nothing like too difficult to take care of. And so because of that, I got to be at the school full time. And because of that, that's the only reason why I feel some sort of peace when I go now. However, if I had the average assignment that any other nurse had, bye, I would not. I would start to feel that way. But because I do, the most difficult part for me is just like dealing with Mia, like the fact that I don't get to see her as much. But then again, the beauty in me going to work is I get to watch Mia form relationships with other people, especially her dad, because now they've grown so close, and I love that. I really, really love that for them. Cause it did make me sad for a while. Like it's all amazing being the favorite parent, but when you want her to love her dad and like love other people, and she's like no to them, it's not fun to watch. So getting to see her be able to truly love on her dad, and they have their own special time and relationship in the morning because I'm not able to be here being at work, that's been like a blessing of it. But again, this is just, I don't know how God gonna work this out, but it's all up to him. But I do, girl, the spirit of anxiety and depression was heavy. Work the same way it was for you. But yeah, now I think it's a little better. No, I'm not gonna say that. It's a lot better now. I almost just feel stagnant, which is probably maybe how you feel too. Okay. I guess no, we both feel the same stagnant, because either one of us really, you know what, also I think that I will admit, maybe it's more than what other people think, because the giving up your career. Because maybe in my own way too, it's kind of strange to I really don't think I don't think I'm admitting to myself that I fully have given up caring not only what other people think of me, but that gives me the esteem of like wanting to keep my career, or if that has affected me mentally. I don't know, I gotta pray on that. But part of me questions like I don't know, it's like I don't even want to say who am I if I'm not a nurse, because I never thought I would say that. Like I never thought I would say that, but I've just been around so many people that are constantly like praising it, and they love it about me.
You are a child of God. You are a counselor if you want to be.
Counselor.
You are an inspiration. Yes, the way you just talked to me and told me I was a good person for all the things I've been slacking on and not doing, and the way you can pull a Bible verse just like that and speak on God just like that. There is something there, and there's a purpose behind that, and we're exploring that through this content. So I know you're meant to do more, but also you're an amazing nurse, so if you want to do that or whatever, you can. I'm just kidding.
You know what? Shoot, God be convicting me. Yeah.
Listen, y'all, hold on. What is he convicting? Come on, talk to us. Talk to us, Abby.
No, because I think it's more so, I think he just kind of put this on my heart. I'm going to just trust that he put it on my heart. I feel like the reason why I'm questioning it is because I know the great life I could have being a nurse. Like financially, there's a direct certain plan. Like even as a nurse, there's the public student loan forgiveness program. I could easily just work for 10 years and like my loans would be paid off regardless of how much interest accrues, which is always a great thing to do. But I never signed up for that program because I never thought in my life I would be working for 10 years.
That's what I was saying. Like, I thought my degree would just be like something I just throw in the back of the closet, and I actually was using it for 7 years in retail.
I was like, I'm not committing to paying you hundreds of dollars, the government hundreds of dollars every month to pay these. Like, I never thought I wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
But what was I saying? I feel the conviction of the fact that nursing is a very certain path of just like your life and your prosperity, I guess, and just prosperity and stability. It's very certain. But I have seen paths of like a lot of content creators that just brings me so much more peace. And I see them, and I told you about them. Specifically, one girl I watch, her name is Brittany Boren Leach, and I've talked about her before to you. She used to be a nurse, and there's so many people that just either used to be nurses or they dropped out of nursing school when they had the chance, and I didn't. But yeah, like I see what God has done for them in their content creation life or their entrepreneurial life or their stay-at-home mom life, and I almost don't think that that's achievable for me, or I don't know if God has really promised that for me. And I don't have to achieve exactly what they've done or whatever prosperity they've achieved, but I just feel like God's saying, like, you don't think that I can do that for you on that path. And it's just taking a lot of trust.
But what do you think I feel like I have a unrealistic idea of my rate of failure. Not saying, I'm gonna say rate, because I'm not saying that I don't think I could ever fail. I don't feel like, oh yeah, I could just quit my job tomorrow and everything's gonna be fine. Although I did that a couple of videos ago. But anyway, I don't think that right now, currently. But also, I think I have an unrealistic idea of, like, I don't think there's a huge chance of me failing either. So I think that's what keeps me going too. Like, I know, in my heart, I don't feel like God wants me to be the example of, like, I don't think I'm supposed to be the example. I know there's examples of, like, if you go down the wrong path, you could end up like this. I don't think I'm that example. And I just don't feel like God is going to put me in a failing position. So when it's time for me to move and I feel like I'm supposed to move, I trust God to guide me to, like, not fail. I'm not gonna say I will be in the best situation and never worry if I just quit a stable job and do this, but I also don't, like, I just feel like God would not let us fail.
I will also add in that the way you're talking about it, it reminds me of, like, when I was quitting and doing travel nursing and even just my entire nursing career prior to, like, me getting pregnant. All of that, all those decisions I've made, getting married, I don't really think up until that point I really knew God. I didn't have a relationship with him. I never read the Bible past the first 5 verses of Genesis, to be honest. Like, I didn't know anything. I never made a decision and actually asked God. Like, I think sometimes, like, I remember sitting in the parking lot when I went on my job interview to work at the hospital before I, like, I remember praying about it and, like, asking God to lead me, but just not really, like, asking God to lead me, but not actually being willing to jump off a cliff if God asked me to. Like, I never was at that point. I was just desperate because I was one of the last people that didn't get a job, and I was like, God, please, like, something got to be going on. It was something like that. But I never really had a relationship with him where I relied on him and actually talked to him and depended on his counsel and took a leap because I thought God specifically told me to leap. I leaped because I was miserable and I felt like there was nowhere else to go. I never leaped because I was listening to this video today where this girl was talking about how sometimes you have to trust God and obey him even if you don't agree with it. Like, if you feel like God is telling you to stop doing something or you need to do something but you don't even agree with what God is saying to do or not to do, sometimes it's not about you agreeing with it, it's just you felt the conviction and you need to do it. And I've never had that level of trust with him, and I think that me quitting this job and being a stay-at-home mom would truly require that level of trust, because it would be me giving up all control, and I've never done that before. I've always felt like I made the jump because I knew I was miserable and there's nowhere else to go. But also when there was nowhere else to go, there was still some sort of stability. Because like I said, I quit, but I was still doing travel nursing.
Oh.
And then if I hated travel nursing, I can always go back to working in a hospital. But now, also I will say with nursing, the thing about leaving and coming back is almost like your skill level. I think it is a little bit more intimidating if you quit, and then like that's the thing, once you stop working, it's a lot. I never fully stopped working for like a year or 2 years at a time. Like it'll be a lot more difficult if I decided to be a stay-at-home mom for like 5 or 6 years and then something happened and I had to go back to work. I think that fear, but I don't need to sit here and fear that because
and it also wouldn't have to be nursing.
Yeah, no, it doesn't have to be nursing.
Yeah,
I feel like it would just be easier for me to do nursing, but it doesn't have to be nursing.
Yeah, if you could try, honestly, you could try that, and if that doesn't work out and you feel like it's not as easy as you thought it was, or you feel like you lost some skills, you could do something else. Because again, like you have a partner, so it's not like you would be like. I mean, it's good to have a whole lot of extra money, but like you still like you're just providing half or less than that, like so you can do anything.
Anything.
Not anything, but still, yeah. It's not like you're the sole provider. You're a single mom out here. You would have.
I'm not Reba,
girl, right?
Single mom who works 2 jobs. You're right.
Exactly. So
I'm not Reba McEntire.
Yeah, and also like. It is very important to read the Bible and know your Bible verses and all of that, but also, like you were saying, like sometimes you just have to have a relationship with God. It's great to do all of those things, but you have to have that.
You can do all those things and don't have a relationship with God. And
so
then
you just really
reading it is just a checklist at that point.
Exactly.
It means nothing if you don't have a relationship.
Exactly, and have that faith and take those leaps and all of that. But it's easier said than done, always.
But that's, I feel like God's overall message to me is like, you don't think that I could do those things for you, or not even, because it's not about looking at what someone else has and thinking that God will do that for me, but it's like you just don't think that I have plans to prosper you and not to harm you for a hope in the future. You know what I mean? And that's been my favorite Bible verse. That's Jeremiah 29:11, and that's been my favorite Bible verse for a long time. But then, dang, when it comes down to it, it's like I've just never relinquished control of like, dang, I guess I'm really giving up. But it's weird because I've always wanted to be a homemaker and stuff. But then again, the other part of it too is that, I mean, I have my own ambitious, like, financial ambitions, not to like make a certain amount of money, but just to have certain things. But then again, I feel like God is just saying like there shouldn't be anything that you should idolize or want if it's contradictory to the plan that I have for you. And don't, like, even for me, like I said, it's not even about the house. Like, I love my house. Like, this very house I'm living in, I could take it and, you know, knock out some walls and spend the rest of my life living here and structurally change it to be the perfect house for me. I know I could. But my dad taught me the 3 rules of real estate: location, location, location. And this is just not the right location for me. And I've always talked about that. But honestly, this is so weird. I feel like when I first moved back into this house, maybe about a year ago. Yeah, about a year ago, like shortly after I gave birth. Like, I remember driving around with Duvall, my husband, and we would be, you know, do you ever like, we used to just sometimes drive through like dream neighborhoods and look at like houses. We would like, do you like that house? What do you think about that house? And I felt like God was speaking to me like, you have to give it up. Like, you have to give up wanting the house. And I was like, well, why would I do that? Like, I feel like you put the dream in my heart to want a big house. Like, I've always wanted that, and I just feel like he said give it up. And I gave that up. But then now that I gave up the house, it's the neighborhood. Like, the neighborhood I want to live. Like, I didn't realize that I could even idolize having the perfect suburban neighborhood that I want. And now I even feel like God's saying, no, you have to let that go too. Like, give it up. And I'm just like, but bro, we live on the not so good side of town.
It'll happen
when it's
time.
But yeah, I didn't realize how much I was idolizing it to the point where, again, maybe that is hindering me because I don't want to quit my job because I have my own certain timeline of money I want to make to do certain things in a certain amount of time. But God's like, you don't even, like, I couldn't have even fathomed that I would be, how did I get here? I wouldn't even thought that I would ever be where I'm at right now. Never would have thought about it. And then somehow God put me here. And so again, I don't want to ever forget where God has put me or how far he's brought in me, because all glory to Him. So like, it's so crazy because God be doing some crazy stuff, and you can't imagine how He got you here. So you definitely can't imagine how He gonna get you there. But you just gotta like,
But also, you were reading the Bible, and you know all your verses, so you have to live those verses too.
Yeah.
Because those stories are examples of things that can be done for you. So, yep.
Yeah.
Everybody has a purpose, and I feel like God is putting you on that path to really like start living what you're reading, and hopefully the next verse you read relates to you and manifests in some type of way to your life, but we'll see.
We'll see.
But yeah,
I'll read tonight.
Yes.
I'll read tonight.
Yes. Eventually. Okay. Did we get everything?
I think we got everything. Listen, if we didn't at this point, I don't even know.
If you all don't get the message by now,
we want to be homemakers. She's ready to do it. I'm over here trying to figure out how to trust God.
We'll figure it out eventually. Thanks for listening to us rant and talk, and
we'll see you in our next one.
Bye.